Previously on SparkFun Live.
I have a bad feeling about this.
You'll never get away with this.
We're not so different, you and I.
Game over, man! Game over!
Get me the president.
Which red wire?
She's gonna blow!
What I do have are a very particular set of skills.
Don't you die on me!
We were family. I thought you were my brother, but you threw it all away. And for what? Nothing. Just shut up and kiss me.
Sure picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Give me a secure command prompt. We're gonna hack into the NSA.
Live in 3, 2, 1. And live.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of SparkFun Live. I'm Shawn. And that would be Pam wearing the horse head. We've got a bunch of projects to show you today. We're not going to show you one tutorial like we normally do. It's going to be a whole bunch of things with lights and sound and interesting ways to pizzazz up your Halloween. Show you some things you can do to costumes or things to place around the house. Even better, how do you scare some trick-or-treaters? Don't forget, this is a live session, so in the chat box you can write us some questions and we'll have somebody come give us the question and see what they say. So, what is that you're wearing?
Well, it's Alice. Oh.
You might want to take that off. I can't really.
It's Allison. She's our tech support guru. She made LEDs, pulsing LEDs. If you don't know who this is, it's the famous blue horse at the Denver airport that everyone so loves and very deeply scared of. But it's a great way to show that you can easily add LEDs to Halloween costumes, like different masks, or even Halloween totes. This is a great example done by Angela in education. She's our e-textile specialist, and it's got lily pad. Have Shawn hand this off to Shawn to show you.
If you can see it blinking.
But
is it on? There we go.
It has lily pad LEDs on there, so you can easily sew into different trick-or-treat bags, which is pretty awesome. But you can use LEDs to make anything really just kind of add value to your costumes and have fun with it. And also be seen for a really long time.
So what did Allison use in the horse head? What's going on in there?
So in the horse head, Allison has these big LEDs. We have a lot of different sizes. With this, it really it's huge and kind of makes it a lot even more scarier. Also has an Arduino Pro Mini inside the mask. So you can actually program the LEDs to pulse or turn on if, let's say, she has an ultrasonic sensor. So if you get close, it starts to pulse. So it's a really great example how you could easily code, or not even code. We have some LEDs that blink by themselves when you power them. So there's a lot of options you have.
Cool. Another thing we can do is, instead of using LEDs, we can use something called EL wire, and this is just strips of wire that light up. They take high voltage, like 150 volts. So one of our other engineers, Tony, she put this together to show us what you can do with EL wire. And this is just EL wire that's been hot glued to the back of a sweatshirt. If you're so inclined, you could sew it, or any other ways you can think of to attach it, such as weave it through, whatever you might desire. This was the sweatshirt I was wearing in the promo video, so if you want to go back and look at that, you can see what it looks like in the dark. I know it might be a little difficult to see. But let's flip it over and see what's going on the inside. We have a good view of this one? All right. So I've got it plugged in right now, and this takes 12 volts in. So it can be a battery, it can be, right now I've got it plugged into the wall so it doesn't die on us. So if you don't want to go very far, you can keep it in the wall. This is an inverter. This raises that 12 volts up to about 150 volts alternating current that goes into this thing called a sequencer. And this allows us to use the EL wire that we had on the sweatshirt that you can see in the promo video. It's actually chasing EL wire. Each individual wire is 3 strands of EL. And that allows us to give it that chasing pattern. But you need something like this to be able to control that. And this is a little battery that allows us to power this board, and that just sequences through all of the things in the EL wire. Now, the trick about this, let me see if I can find the sleeve here for everyone, is there is a flex sensor located in the wrist of the sleeve. And this flex sensor goes into our sequencer, and it's tied into one of the analog ports. As I move the flex sensor, one sec, I'm having technical difficulties. All right. Little mic check there. So, as I move the flex sensor back and forth, the sequencer running, it has an Arduino on board, it reads the value of that flex sensor and then adjusts the speed of the EL wire so it chases faster or slower depending on how you move your wrist. So that can just be, hey, I'm running around in my costume and I can move my wrist and it changes the pattern. So this is a fun little sweatshirt, and that should get you some ideas of different ways you can actually use EL wire in your projects.
And the great thing with EL wire, you can do something like this where Tony added a sensor, or you could do something that's more of a plug and go. So we have these chasing EL strips. We also have normal EL strips. But for a lot of projects that you see with like Tron outfits or anything like that, lots of times people will just get the battery pack inverter, which is really easy to you just plug it in with the color EL wire that you want. And I'll let Shawn.
Thank you.
This one's our chasing LED one. So it comes in 3 different speeds. So you can go either super fast, and then just medium speed, and then super slow, which is great. And if you don't want the chasing LED EL wire, we do have just plain solid EL wire. So that way you don't have to program, or if you're doing a last minute Halloween costume like lots of people do, it's a great choice. But oh, I think we have a guest speaker here. He took a break from having emails, typing some emails. Yes!
Hi, Strong Bad.
Hello!
Oh, other great example of EL wire could be used in awesome masks. Chris Clark is our IT director and Strong Bad in disguise. Did you want to describe a little bit about your costume?
Sure. It's a little bright in here, so you can't quite see how they're lit up. But this is a big plaster head. I like making big plaster heads for Halloween. They're great costumes, and Strong Bad was a natural fit for EL wire. So I'm going to take off some boxing gloves. Unlike Strong Bad, I can't do this with boxing gloves on. He can do anything with boxing gloves on.
Even type, I hear.
Even type. So yeah, basically, these were just some wooden pieces from the fabric store, and I used one of these little battery packs, one of these little AA battery packs, for the two EL wire coming out of it. So there's the green around the eyes, and then the blue around the weird shape, the rouleau triangle that he has in the middle of his head. So these light up, and it looks great at night. It's a little bright in here, of course. But yeah, then just routed it through the costume itself, and used just some hot glue to nail it down. My wife Mandy, who will be up in a little bit, actually had one of the mini hot glue guns, and I find that the mini hot glue guns actually have the perfect size bead for these EL wires, because I was able to get a nice clean finish, just a nice clean spiral, drilled a little hole in the little wooden thing that I put it on so that it could actually come back through and into the inside of the helmet, and then just made a little thing for these. They have the nice little clip on the back of them, so I was able to clip it up and inside. and keep it comfortable and out of the way. And walking around at night, nice big light up strong bed with glowy eyes.
Nice. Can you speak a little bit about how you actually made the head itself?
Oh, sure. So I've made a few of these, and the process gets a little refined every year, but it all starts with a good party balloon. Because in order to do these guys, you need a good mold. It's effectively doing paper mache, but with some stronger materials than paper mache itself. So I like to go to the party store, and they have the big wall of like 100 different balloons in there, those kind of foily balloons, and those are really big, and they fill them with helium, so they stand up on their own. So those are great. So I usually get a good party balloon, and then I get some plaster wrap. Sometimes it's called rigid wrap, and it's basically like a gauze with plaster sort of impregnated in it. You just dip that in some water, and you throw that on top. Really easy to make a quick mold like this. Over time, I've learned that the big face cutout is just better, because with these costumes, if you do little tiny eye holes, it can be really hard to see where you're going. And they're so big that your face kind of disappears inside the whole big thing anyway. But then finding things from the fabric store, like these are just the little wooden, thin wood discs that I just painted and was able to glue stuff right on. So you can get a lot of your materials directly from the fabric store. You can also go over the outside with some newspaper and some drywall compound, some of the powdered drywall compound. Mix a little water, get some strips of newspaper and throw that in there, and that makes a great drop-in replacement for the plaster wrap, which you can buy online pretty cheap. And I actually find they both serve, the plaster wrap is a little easier to work with, but gives you a more rough texture, but a better structure, so I do that first, and then I usually throw some of the drywall compound and newspaper on the outside for a smoother finish.
Okay.
Nice.
Can you sand that down and get it to be a completely fine?
Yes, you can.
All right.
And this mask, this was the first year I had learned about the drywall compound technique. So only parts of it are smooth. This is smooth down here, around the face is smooth, but a lot of it you can kind of see a little more of the texture, and that's because I didn't do it everywhere. But yeah, that's the real advantage to that stuff, is you can lay down those strips, let them dry, and then sand it to a really nice, smooth finish, so you don't have this gritted finish that the rigid wrap gives.
That's super awesome. Thanks, Chris, for sharing.
Oh, sure thing.
Yeah, thanks for coming by, Strong Bad.
Happy Halloween.
All right. Our next person that we're going to bring up is Mike Gruesome. He's our rocket scientist here at SparkFun. Super, super awesome.
Hi, Mike.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good. You?
Good.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing great. Looking forward to Halloween. It's definitely one of our favorite holidays around here for sure. So what I got here is sort of a thing you can do for audio stuff in your front yard for Halloween. I'll try and cheat over towards this microphone a little bit. A friend of ours named Jamie Robertson made a board for us called the MP3 Trigger, which we've had for a bunch of years, and it's really cool. It's like a little MP3 player. You put a card on with files in it, and it's got triggers on it, and if you bridge the trigger, like with a switch, it'll play that file. One of the limitations of that thing was always that it could only play one file at a time, which is kind of annoying if you want to do more than one thing at a time. So he recently came out with a new board that we kind of helped him design and build, called the Wave Trigger. And the cool thing about the Wave Trigger is that it can play more than one sound at a time. And what I did with this one is I put in a loop, which is just kind of wind and rain and thunder and stuff, so your normal Halloween kind of stuff. But then I've also got what we call a PIR sensor, passive infrared. This is like one of those motion sensors where if you want to go through a door, you walk in front of it and it'll make the door open. I've got this hooked up to make a growling sound. I'm not sure if we've got a plug over here I can get.
There's one back there, the extension cord.
Yeah, toss me that extension cord. Thank you. So let's see. The other cool thing about this board is it's got an amplifier on it, so it can actually do pretty noisy stuff all by itself. So let's see. Plug you in. Let's see if it starts up. Is that actually going anywhere?
Going to...
It should.
It should. Huh. I'm not getting any lights.
Yeah, the extension cord's not getting power. That's definitely...
And it looks like it's plugged in, so weird. Yay Live Television.
Yep, there you go.
Oh, here we go.
We're
So
good.
we got a light. And let's see. Where's the speaker? Speaker.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Nice.
So basically, what it's doing is it's re-triggering. I'll kind of aim this off towards just nothing, and hopefully that'll stop. So yeah, you can set this board. It'll like stack up to like 10 sounds or something like that. So you can have like rain and thunder, and have them just all going at the same time. But then you can also have as many triggers as you have inputs. There's 16 inputs on it. So I mean, you could have 16 of these. You could have tripwires. You could have buttons. I'll just kind of hold this out here so it's not doing anything.
Is it seeing your fingers?
Maybe. Amanda, can you kind of walk in front of that?
There we go.
So,
What kind of range do you get on it? You have to be like 3-4 feet in front of it?
actually, these things have pretty good range. They use them in burglar alarms.
Okay.
So, yeah, you should usually get 20, 25, maybe 40 feet out of them at night.
Oh, wow.
And I've got other things in here, so it's like you could take that trigger off of the growl and put it in something else. Like, let me see. Trying to remember what the ones are. Oh yeah, this is a good one. right? Yeah. And there's no end to cheesy sound effects on the internet, as I'm sure everybody out there knows.
So you just put .wav files on the SD card.
Yep.
And then you just programmed it's Arduino, you said. It'll just read them, or?
Actually, the cool thing about this board is that it's completely standalone.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah, it runs its own program on an ARM chip. It does all this stuff by itself. But if you want to do even fancier stuff, like let's say you wanted to have a lightning crash, but also have like lights come on at the same time. It also has a serial port on it, and it understands pretty simple commands. So you could do something like have an Arduino that's deciding when to do. It'll send a command to play the lightning sound, and also turn on some LEDs for the lightning flash.
Okay.
So it's really versatile, and like I said, you can either have it just standalone and do a bunch of neat stuff all by itself, or you can hook it up to Arduino and just go nuts.
Yeah.
So it sounds pretty great for beginners and advanced people, but yeah, that's awesome.
Very, very cool product. We're really excited about this.
Have you hooked it up yet to anywhere like for trick-or-treaters and just scared the everything poop as they walk by?
This one's actually brand new this summer, so it has not been tried on an actual Halloween yet. So we're hoping some of you guys, and I know I will, definitely put this one in the front yard this year.
Please, and let me know how that works. I do want to hear about that.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Wave Trigger. SparkFun.com.
Insert plug.
Cool.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for coming by.
And we'll also have Mike come back because him and Amanda are our next guest. And Amanda has a really cool project. She's our project manager here at SparkFun and Education Department.
This one's a work in progress. This is my latest version. This is my prototype right here. Yeah.
Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. She says thank you too.
All right.
We'll put her on here.
What have you got for us?
So this is a witch apple head. So what it is it's a dried out apple. And it took like a few days to get down to its shrunken size here. And so it's actually inspired from like a second grade project that I did way back when.
Nice.
And so I took this and I stuck a pencil up its head, which everybody loves to do. I mean,
This sounds awful.
yeah, no, it's great.
Okay.
She loves it. And then what I did is I incorporated some electronics into it. So I took some LEDs and a battery holder up here at the top. Here I can take the.
I can put it under this camera if you want to show off.
Sure.
More specifically.
You good? Okay. Yeah. So it's got a little battery holder, a battery, and just a coin cell battery, 20 millimeter, I think.
It's really scary without the hat on.
It's got like
creepy.
it's very bald.
It kind of looks like the Predator.
It kind of does actually. So I just took a battery holder, connected it with some conductive thread here, and 2 small LEDs. So those are for the eyes, and it actually cackles as well. So I use we used a LilyPad MP3 trigger, a simple speaker here, and then just a LiPo battery, and then you just want to put your MP3 on a little SD card here. So I found a random MP3 off of the internet. So it's like a little witch cackle. It's kind of cute. And then on the front here is a little LilyPad light sensor. So when it's dark, so I think I'm going to try and make this work. So let me turn on the MP3 and make it dark. So I'm going to cover up the light sensor. Let's see what happens.
That thing is
here.
really creepy without its hat on. It is just scaring me.
I don't know if you can get the sound.
Bring it over here a little bit.
Okay.
There's the microphone.
All right. So then it makes a cackling sound. So when it gets dark is when it actually turns on. So if you turn the lights off, you'll start freaking out because this thing's going to be coming after you.
With those little beady red LED
yeah, little
eyes.
predator eyes and hair. And yeah, so that's the project so far. And like I said, oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, and so, let me turn this off. It gets a little distracting. But yeah, and then this one's a work in progress, so she'll be cackling soon enough.
She looks slightly less lobotomized without the hat on.
Yeah, I gave her a little more hair so she wasn't so bald.
There we go.
You know.
Okay, so you mentioned it was a second grade project?
Yeah.
So was the second grade project to make a witch, or what brought you to the idea of making a witch like this?
Yeah, so when it was Halloween time,
okay.
Second grade, and I think a lot of people around the country have actually done this before, because several people have come to me saying, "Oh my gosh, it's the apple witch with the pencil stuck up the head." So so I was like, yeah, I know, it's so cool. So I decided, how cool would it be to enhance it and make it a little bit better with some electronics? So yeah, that was kind of the inspiration, and I just took it from there. And
nice.
Yeah.
How did you actually get the electronics on the Apple and stay?
Well, that's a good question. This isn't the greatest setup here, but I went ahead and I just used some hot glue to hold the conductive thread in place. And then same thing for the battery holder. It's nice and flat, so you can just attach it to the top of the head. And for the MP3, what I did is I used conductive thread. So it's basically like an e-textile project. And I sewed it right into the dress. And on this one, I actually sewed it, I used interfacing, and so I sewed it on the inside of it here to hold all of everything in place. I also made like a little pocket right here to hold the speaker, nice. So the speaker just points outward. So that kind of helps to kind of stabilize everything. And then I actually hot glued and then I actually used hot glue to hold down the MP3 trigger, So
what did you use for that dress? Because that actually allows you to stand the witch up more.
Right. So what I used is some really thick interfacing, and that's nice. It's nice and rigid, so it holds the witch up a little bit. Interfacing is basically like a fusible kind of fabric that you can use to help keep things like really stiff.
Okay.
Just help form some sort of piece of fabric if it's too loose or you want to make some sort of
so if I go
design out of it.
If I go to Michael's and I'm like, help me find interfacing, they'll know
exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And so this
and
is
use an iron, right?
This one isn't iron-on. You can sew it in, but some of them they fuse. So there's like a little glue backing to it, and you can actually iron it onto the fabric, and that holds it into place. But this one I actually just glued in to place with, I think, like rubber cement or something I just had on hand. So
Right.
You can use fabric glues. You can use probably just Elmer's glue. I mean, whatever you can find that works. But yeah, so that kind of worked for me.
And how did you do the teeth?
The teeth on this one are just little sewing pins, that you use to sew with or keep something in place, like your fabric in place as you're using your sewing machine. So that's what I used there. This one I'm still trying to figure out the mouth. I want it to look a little more realistic, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Any suggestions, let us know.
It's nice and creepy, the teeth.
Yeah, some missing teeth there. So.
How long does the apple actually last? Since, it's dried. How long will this...
My ones from second grade are still going on.
You have a collection from each year.
Yeah, exactly. They're all at home in my room. Chris loves it. Yeah.
How long does it take to dry?
It takes, it really depends. If you keep it in the sun, that's the key, is keeping it in the sun. That'll like really bake it in about a week or so. But we were doing a time-lapse video for it because I'm actually making a tutorial out of this thing with the help of my Grusin here. And we had it in a bedroom that was really cold, and there was like no light, so it took like 3 weeks.
Oh, no.
So you have to get it, in a good hot setting where there's a lot of sun to really bake the heck out of it. So
outside's probably your best bet.
yeah, if you don't get birds or cats or dogs.
That is true.
Any animal.
Right, exactly. That could be a problem, but
Employees.
yeah, like Pamela, she likes to eat rotten apples. It's great.
This is an awesome project. Thank you, Amanda, for
Thanks
sharing.
for having me. It was great.
Yeah, thanks for showing us.
All right. Bye.
All right, after Amanda is Nick Poole with also another creepy project to show off.
I saw this one the other day, and it is terrifying.
Very terrifying.
Hey guys.
Hi Nick, welcome.
Hey SparkFun Live viewers. There's so many of you right now. I'm watching on my phone. If I show this to the camera, will it start like a time vortex?
There's also like a 30-second delay, right? So
yeah, it's real weird.
That is
All
really
right.
bizarre.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hey.
What do you got?
Yeah.
This unfortunate specimen is named William.
Oh, you named it.
Yes.
Why William?
No
I gotta
particular
ask.
reason.
Okay.
Actually. I just picked a name. He is made out of a foam pumpkin. If you've watched SparkFun Live from the first episode, then you know I have a history with foam pumpkins. Yeah, there's actually one on the set right here. My first one was unintentionally horrifying, and so I went for a more overtly scary approach this time. And it's a laser line break trap for trick-or-treaters to hopefully scare kids when they're on their way to take candy from you.
When you say laser line, you mean like the thing you walk across in your garage and that stops you from getting crushed kind of idea?
Yeah, if you're like a boring person, but like if you're like a cool person, it's the thing that you dodge on your way to steal a priceless artifact from a museum.
Jeez, Shawn.
I know.
Yeah.
Apparently, I just think garages and houses. I don't think all that theft I did back in the day.
Right.
Yeah. How did I forget? So can we fire it up? Can we see
Yeah,
it
let's
work?
do that. What I've done is I've taken one of our red laser modules and I've just connected it directly to a 2 AA battery holder, and I epoxied a 1/4-20 nut to the bottom of it so I can put it on this tripod. It comes in handy to have the laser on sort of a gimbal where you can aim it so that you can get it, so you don't have to balance it on something to get it to hit the light sensor. So what's actually happening here is this pumpkin has a light sensor at the back of the mouth here. It's one of our lily pad light level sensors, and the Arduino that's in there is just pulling that light sensor and waiting for the light level to drop below a certain point. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up and plug in, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to aim the laser at our light sensor. Let's see if I can do this in a way that's camera friendly. Here we go. A little bit. Gonna try not to shine the laser directly in anybody's eye.
That would be much appreciated.
No promises.
It's not the first time.
Okay. All right. Oh no. This is riveting television.
If you're doing this at home, give yourself at least 5 to 10 minutes of setup.
It's like watching grass grow.
All right, guys. So I'm going to plug this guy in. He might scream when I plug him in because I don't know what's going to happen.
The worst thing is when nothing happens.
Everything is okay. So apparently I did, in fact, get the laser pointed directly into the light sensor. And as you can see, everything's fairly copacetic. He's still terrifying, obviously, but he's not doing anything. If this laser was on one side of your porch and the pumpkin was sitting beside your front door, then when a trick-or-treater approached the front door, obviously they break this laser line, and then this happens.
I feel so bad for those kids.
Yeah, no, don't. They want your candy.
Yeah.
So this is what you get in return.
Why the like laser jet engine firing sound and not like creepy screams and other sounds.
So I wanted to keep it to a sound that I could synthesize directly from the Arduino without having to incorporate a wave trigger or something like that. And so this is actually just something that I wrote using a series of delays and using the tone library to do sort of a weird phasing effect where I'm basically playing a set frequency over and over but at a different delay, so you get sort of two tones.
Right.
I also just wanted it to be, I didn't want it to be recognizably creepy, I just wanted it to be sort of scary and like unsettling.
It definitely is unsettling.
Mission accomplished.
For sure. So how did you do, what is the whole like mouth thing and how did you do the teeth?
So I'm going to unplug him so I can move him around and talk about him
that would be distracting.
It's mine. Laser away. So the pumpkin itself is just a foam pumpkin that I got from a hobby store. It's Joanne or Michael's or anywhere like that is going to carry these on a seasonal basis. And I'm actually going to cut through the tape on the back so I can show you kind of what these guys look like inside. You've probably got about, am I getting mic'd up here? A little bit. All right, mic with the mic. So you've got a little bit of this would be the flesh of the pumpkin if it were a real pumpkin. You don't have as much as with a real pumpkin to carve into, so I kind of had to sculpt the face on and then carve the teeth in. And the teeth are, like I said, they're just carved into the pumpkin using a hobby knife and a rotary tool, and then the face is sculpted on top using modeling clay just from like the arts and crafts store.
Right. I gotta say the multiple rows of teeth is just creeping me out right now.
He's got teeth all the way up the sides of his mouth. Yeah.
I don't know how he would ever close his mouth, but that aside, it's
why
creepy.
would you ever have to close your mouth?
That's true.
Like
I mean, if you're shooting laser beams out of your mouth, then you don't need to close it.
This guy obviously plans on screaming for all of eternity.
Okay.
Yes. And that's the great thing about using fake pumpkin. So
yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's not gonna rot underneath the clay. Although that would look gnarly. That wouldn't be a bad thing.
Just keep adding.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually the whole thing will just be replaced with clay like a fossil.
Right. Are you planning to set this up this year?
So at my house, I don't get trick-or-treaters, but I will probably set this up at the SparkFun open house.
Ooh, there we go.
Since we'll have a little bit of a Halloween theme going on, and hopefully.
When is that?
That's the 25th.
Okay.
At some time that I should know, but I don't know.
But he'll be there.
But I will be there.
Like 5 to 9-ish.
It's 5 to 9-ish.
Yeah. So if you're around in Colorado, come by and visit us 5 to 9-ish. That's an exact time.
Yes.
On the 25th.
Yeah.
To be scared listening to all these different sounds from all these demos. So
Exactly.
Awesome.
That is sweet. Thank you, Nick.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. That is a creepy pumpkin.
Yes.
I need to get me one of those.
My phone with me? Here we go.
All right, for our last project, we have Evan, who's going to show us his robot zombie. Evan, welcome. That is terrifying.
Just got more terrifying than yesterday.
How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you doing? So what have you got with you?
So what I have here is just a, well, you can see it's clearly a robot dummy kind of thing. But
it's only half a zombie, which is even worse than a full zombie.
Well, yeah, with a half a zombie, you can apply this to, chain it to a tree or something and lay out fakey viscera and just make it really, truly gnarly. So what makes this better than just a normal dummy is, like a lot of our guests, we've been using motion and sensory activated devices. So this sort of follows along that theme, where when it's plugged in, which I'll have just a second.
I like the brains showing out of the top of that head there.
So when you get too close, the zombie will take a swipe at you.
Or it's kind of a hug too.
Or
if you like zombies.
Or if you want to think of it in a friendly term, it could, try and give you a hug and
before it devours you.
infect you and all that good stuff.
Well, as long as it doesn't bite you, you're fine, right? You can hug zombies all day long.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's just as easy to get the zombie virus as it would be to get Ebola or what have you.
Okay, fair enough.
So, this is a basic 4-bar mechanism which controls the animatronic in here. And I'm going to get fresh with you here for a second.
Oh, it's going down. Uh-oh. If you ever wondered what the inside of a zombie looks like, now you know.
Well, unfortunately, this is going to look more like the inside of a robot than the inside of a zombie. But what we have here is a bunch of actibiotics controlling, or basically describing a 4-bar linkage with a...
All right, what's a 4-bar linkage? I gotta ask.
Okay, a 4-bar linkage is a class of machine. Basically, it transfers motion from one linkage to another linkage. This is a very specific subset called an oscillating or crank oscillating mechanism. So it takes a cranking motion from the motor and translates that to an oscillating motion in the arm.
Okay, rather than trying to turn that linkage where the shoulder would be by itself.
Yeah, so it's at the core, and this cross member, that's the 4th bar. That'll actually bring the arm in. Get this plugged back in here so you can see it in motion.
That's cool.
And like a lot of the other projects, it's sensor activated. So I've got one of our Maxbotics ultrasonic sensors, not very discreetly hidden in the nose.
At night I probably would not be able to tell.
Yeah.
And so that's just running on one of our regular red boards, which triggers, when it's activated, it triggers a relay, which controls the motor. Fairly simple machine as far as the actual controls go. And since it's all open loop, there's not really anything controlling where in the sweep it is. So yeah, you'll either swipe at you or try to hug it.
Just open up one arm, like hi, hi.
And so, with the exception of the zombie parts, all the zombie parts, they're all available at your local pop-up seasonal Halloween store. This is mounted on just a regular styrofoam head. And then the rest is all Actibotics and Arduino-related stuff.
Nice. So it's all SparkFun parts in there.
Absolutely. And
nice.
In fact, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go and make the wish list available. Included in the wish list is a link to our 3D Content Central, which actually has a SolidWorks model of the mechanism itself.
Okay.
Awesome, Evan.
So all of these parts are available through us, and it should be fairly easy to throw together.
Nice. How'd you get the idea to do the swiping zombie?
Actually, a friend of mine, he wanted to do some kind of zombie thing that would attack trick-or-treaters.
Okay.
The age-old motivation: how can I scare more children? So he's like, well, can you do something that just like swipes at people? I'm like, well, we've got all these Actibotics and we've got all these control electronics. That'd be actually fairly easy. So I just dug through my good old source book of mechanisms, like, oh, this is a 4-bar linkage. I could do that and I drafted up the dependent motion, did the calculations, like, okay, I want a complete circle here, I want it to sweep 60 degrees here, what kind of spacing do I have to do, and did the calculations, and it just sort of put itself together.
Nice. Just put some Actibotics and a wrench in the thing and you come back later, the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like, the main thing you got to do is just put all the Actibotics in a big bag and shake.
Okay.
And through infinite iterations, it'll probably generate some kind of cool mechanism.
Right. So the second law of thermodynamics, we don't need to worry about that at all.
No,
when it comes to zombies, it's different.
Yeah, it's entropy increases, and zombies help to do that.
So is the idea to keep it really quiet as it just silently swipes at people as they come by?
Actually, that was a happy byproduct of the construction. I was concerned about the very obvious clicking of the solenoid, and I figured for future expansion I might be able to throw on like a wave trigger, MP3 trigger, some kind of audio device, and have it do the archetypal zombie groan as it swipes. Or it could be like, hey, kids, get off my lawn, or something.
It just says,
that would be great. Kids, get off my lawn.
No zombie voice, just literally.
Hey, you kids, what are you doing here?
There you go. You would scare them so much you wouldn't have to give them candy, and you would scare them. It wins.
Win-win.
There you go.
There you go.
No worrying about second law thermodynamics. Right?
No.
Well, thank you, Evan, for showing off your project. I think a lot of people would be interested in this one just because you see a lot of them on stores and stuff, so it's cool to see how you make it.
And definitely, I like to encourage the homebrew mechanism thing. I mean, I'm sure you could get animatronics at any old 7-Eleven, but just the ability to craft it yourself is definitely a bonus.
It is neat, and you can control like how much they swipe and add whatever you want to it.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Evan.
Absolutely.
Have a happy
Thanks for
Halloween.
You too.
You too.
All right. Was there any questions throughout the live?
We didn't get any questions, but I'm not sure if the comments are working well. So people, you can repeat this. If people needed questions and they didn't get them during the show, keep asking and we'll answer them.
All right. So yeah, if people were able to get their questions in, heard there were some issues with the comments section, definitely post them after the show, and we will keep an eye on them and come back and answer them as best as we can.
Perfect.
All right.
Now for a very, very special feature.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. I will leave you with some thoughts by our very own Brendan Hamilton.
This may sound like a cliche, but I'm just an old-fashioned, normal American man, and I like things to be simple. Just have a look at my hat. Up here is all the technology I'll ever need. Keeps my head warm in the winter, and it shades my eyes from harmful UV rays. I can barely remember to keep it at a sufficiently jaunty tilt as it is. So when I see these reality shows about people running around old houses in the dark, trying to conjure ghosts with enough widgets and whatchamacallit strapped to them to stump Charles Babbage, I tend to get angry. And when I get angry, I tend to black out. And when I black out, my neighbor's inflatable pumpkin decorations tend to get slashed to ribbons and dangled like toilet paper from their ficus. Don't judge me for it. It's just that deep down inside, righteous angels are fluttering behind my ribcage, just waiting for the opportunity to lash out at the incessant inflatable outrages that characterize contemporary living. Remember that the next time you consider using the word literally when you actually mean the opposite. Not everyone has a polyester jack-o'-lantern on their lawn. I do love a good chat with the anguished soul of a Confederate colonel now and then. I get better beard grooming tips than from that blackguard Robert. But since when do I need to spend $270 for a box that claims to convert environmental readings into words? What does that even mean? And EVPs? Give me a break. When I want to hear voices, I don't crank the volume on a recording of a parka ruffling next to a microphone and play it over and over again until I hear some charred Puritan lady chanting my name through her lipless witch maw. Call me a Luddite, but when I want to speak to the dead, I just wander out into the wilderness with nothing but a stone dagger and a hollow gourd, starve myself for 4 to 5 days, and wait for Uncle Enzo to drop by and tell me again about that time he had pasta fazool with Giuseppe Garibaldi. Enzo always did like a good bean-based dish. People aren't eating enough beans anymore. You can't get that kind of spiritual revelation from a mobile phone application, or app as the juggalos are calling them. And yet these apps are all over the internets, making all kinds of ridiculous claims. Some say, for example, that their little hoodads can analyze electromagnetic fields for signals and even send out reciprocal signals automatically. But what sensors, let alone transmitters, are there on your phone that are capable of such wizardry? No, really, I'm asking. My telephone is literally a tin can on a string. And I do mean tin. Don't get me started on aluminum, the coward's metal as I like to call it. And then there's the British pronunciation of the word, aluminium. Listen, Cornwallis, if I wanted extra letters in my elements, I'd open up a can of alphabet soup, tin mind you, and then I'd use the sharp edge of the lid to carve those extra letters into the annotated periodic table of the elements I branded across my own chest after a torrid love affair with a certain Polish chemist ended in tears and spilled radium chloride. But let's get back to the apps, shall we? There are fortune-telling apps out there that promise to tell you your future. Ask the gods, says one. Isn't that charming? When I was a child and we wanted to ask the gods a question, we didn't bury our faces in our smartphones like an emo at the dinner table. We went outside. We bleached our hair with lye from the ash heaps, streaked woad war paint across our faces, and summoned the great crooked worm lord from the soil with burnt offerings and the songs of our ancestors. Life was simpler back then. And I don't need a $400 EMF reader to detect electromagnetic fields when, for the price of a bus ticket, I can go down to my local park, emerge naked from a drainage ditch, chanting Gallic incantations, and let the collective unconscious prickle my wet body hairs in the direction of an interdimensional portal. EMF readers are a bunch of techno-hooey. What's next? An Arduino-based Ouija board?